Welcome back, everyone. We're talking World of Warship Legends, and today looking at the brand new German aircraft carriers. These were just introduced this past Monday with the newest update. In the background here, we have a game of Capture the Base on Estuary. This is going to be a Tier 5, Tier 6 matchup, and all the battleships in this game are going to be Tier 6. So getting up tiered, get to see what these AP bombs can do, what these torpedoes can do. Right off the bat here, I went ahead and sent some torpedo bombers into the air. Just doing what CVs need to be doing, and that is spotting. And you see right there with the brand new spotting ribbon that we got. But before we get too far, let's take a look at some of the stats. Now in this video, I hadn't quite unlocked the new German commander just yet. So I was using Reinhard's Shear and going with the perks of Fire Alarm. That's his base perk. So it reduces chance of catching fire, and as well as lowers your reload time on your damage control. And then No Fly Zone, Hidden Threat, Heavy Consequences, and Fully Packed for the legendary skill. Now, taking a look at the ship mods, for me it's important you need to get aircraft as quickly as possible. So I went with Flight Control Mod 1. That takes 15% off the aircraft preparation time. And then I went Air Groups Mod 3, which gives plus 3% on the hit points for both sets of bombers, the dive bombers and torpedo bombers. So now let's take a look at the unique stats of each ship type, or plane type rather, and what we can expect to see out of it. These bombs can hit, and they can hit hard. I'm interested to see what the Tier 7 can do. The Tier 5 so far has been very fun to play. In fact, I'd say I'm enjoying this line more than I was the US or Japanese carrier lines. So starting with the torpedo bombers. This ship is fully leveled up, by the way, so these are the final stats that I have with my build. So starting with torpedo bombers, they have a hit points of 3,093 health. They have a max speed of 163 knots, a detectability of 9.3 kilometers. There is squadron sizes of 6, but as you'll see throughout this game, normally as soon as I launch a full squadron of 6, I'll immediately drop off 2 of my planes to send them back to the carrier, and that's just to guarantee that I'll have planes late in the game. Torpedo damage, max damage of 5,433 per torpedo hit. Now you will rarely see that amount of damage done, simply because there are torp reductions on many of the battleships and some of the cruisers. Now AP bombers, the specialty of this line. We start out with the health on these 3,811, so significantly stronger than the torpedo bombers. Has a max speed of 180 knots, so a lot faster. And then another thing I've noticed about the AP bombers is they seem to fly higher than the other planes that you have. So, just the altitude feels a lot higher. And so when you go in to make a run, you don't make that big rear up and then dive down like you do with the Americans and Japanese. You just dive straight down, as you can see right there in the animation. Detectability on the AP bombers is 10 kilometers, and then the max bomb damage is 9,180. And it is very possible to hit the Citadel and get that full amount on these ships. And we'll get a good look of what they can do here throughout this game. As you can see, a lot of battleships in this game. I think the enemy team had 5 of them, and it made this a little bit more easy for me. I didn't have to worry about chasing down a destroyer that much. You can see their destroyer was spotted right there in the middle. Not a huge threat, so I'm not worried about spotting that one destroyer. And honestly, when it's Capture the Base, it's a little bit difficult to nail down where that destroyer may be, since they're not necessarily going to be going towards a cap if it was domination game style. Early on in the match, I got the torpedo bombers out. I was going out just trying to get some flooding going. Unfortunately, one thing I've noticed with these torpedo bombers is extremely difficult to get ships flooding. In fact, I would put it at probably less than 10% based on the stats I've captured so far. So extremely difficult to get them flooding. but it's still doing damage, still occupying some of the space of captains, so that they have to be aware of where the planes are. And basically, see what I'm doing here, I'm trying to attack ships that are not grouped up, because when ships are grouped up, they have much more effective AA. So looking for the lone wolves out here, and when I'm going for the torpedo bombers, I'm making sure to start my run about 5 to 6 kilometers out, completely perpendicular to their travel path, to make it much easier to hit their broadside with the torpedoes. Now with the bombers, it is the complete opposite. I'm looking to run completely parallel to their path. So normally I'm going to aim about 8 kilometers in front or behind where that ship is, and then I'm going to turn to match their line of travel almost exactly. That way I can get that reticle to be as much on the ship as possible as I'm making my bombing run. So as you can see, capture the base. The tendency with this game type is typically people just will sit back and wait for something to happen, and normally it's whoever gets impatient the fastest is going to be the team that loses. Fortunately, they did have a couple ships push forward, a couple cruisers. We took them out, and now at this point I can go ahead and just start whittling down these ships on this flank. I want to go ahead and make sure that I'm protecting the guys here close to me. And the York is a great target. You saw there that last bomb run, got a Citadel hit right here. Get another hit, not a Citadel hit, but still a fairly decent amount of damage. And that's exactly what I want to be doing now. The one thing I would say, typically I would be looking for the destroyer, but the destroyer has not been involved at all on their team. So I'm not overly concerned at this point, and my job is to make sure that these enemy ships don't press in so far that they're able to spot my carrier and do damage to me. So I've played probably about 20 to 25 games in the Weser today, and like I said, it's a fun ship to play. I think it's going to be the most enjoyable CV for me. I'm looking forward to getting the Parsifal unlocked a little bit later, but overall it's still not a broken class. You're not gonna absolutely just dominate a game with this class like you could a destroyer. Right there, able to pick up the kill again, running completely perpendicular to the ship's travel path, and we were able to land both of those torpedoes. You can see torpedo hits, we're up to 10 torpedo hits, 3 bomb hits, and 2 citadels, but we're still only about 56,000 damage. So it's not a huge amount of damage that we're dealing out, and that's fine. That's what you want from this class. You don't want it to be overpowered, because the CV isn't risking in its own health pool the majority of the time. So it would be unfair for that class to be able to go out and deal damage without, or deal exorbitant amount of damage without having to put themselves at risk. But as you can see here, like I said, just a lot of fun. We're going to get a good run right here on this Scharnhorst and be able to put 2 more Citadels on them. And I think that's really what this ship is going to be doing. It's going to be protecting cruisers. So cruisers are always most fearful of enemy battleships. So it's going to be the CV's job to go ahead and keep the battleships in check. If the planes, they're able to drop 1 bomb each, you have a full squadron, that's 6 bombs, and that's potentially 6 citadels that you could hit if you're online, if you're able to keep your aircraft alive that long. So I think that is something extremely important that will have to be done, is protecting those cruisers, spotting the enemy destroyers, and just trying to take out the biggest guns in the game, which are going to be the enemy battleships. I'm curious to see what you all have seen from this class so far. What do you think of it? What do you think of carriers in general? I was a little nervous when they first were introduced. At this point, I don't have an issue with it. They're not breaking the game. They're not overpowered. They are actually fairly decent where they're at, because you're able to build against them. If you want, you can have a complete AA build that will shred the planes apart. If you stick with the people that you're spawned with, your AA is even more effective. That doesn't mean everyone go to the same spot. It means in your small little groups of three, you stick together and go ahead and stack your AA to make it the most effective. So right here at the end, you'll see I'm not going to go for the run immediately. What I want to do is I want to go ahead, just keep this enemy carrier spotted, give my friendly ships a chance to go ahead and get some shots, and I'm going to go in for the kill shot a little bit later. Unfortunately, we don't get it. I didn't quite get the Citadel I was hoping for, but overall, this is exactly the type of game I'm looking for. I want to get maybe 1 or 2 kills, a decent amount of damage, but those spotting ribbons are key. I want to be out there spotting for our friendly team, making known where the enemy is at all times. That's all I have for today. Just wanted to take a first look at the Weser here. I'll come back a little bit later once I get a little bit more hang of it, if I'm able to find any new tactics or tricks to get the most out of this ship. But I'm interested to see what you all come up with. If you have any tips or tricks, leave them in the comments down below. I'm really interested to see those. If this is your first time come to the channel, consider hitting subscribe. We'll have a lot more videos coming at you shortly. Have a great day, y'all.